Shinpei and the others see Ushio in the video. She says she has a message for Shinpei and thinks that if he or anyone else is watching it, it means she is dead. After that, she calls her shadow, and the two Ushio stand in front of one another. Ushio explains that her shadow is not evil and that Shinpei is probably standing next to her right now because only the two of them can unlock the phone. Ushio claims that Shinpei can obtain the information from her shadow, however, she desired to send him a direct message. After that, Ushio says that Shiori was the beginning of everything. On July 17th, at Kobe store, Ushio and Mio are shopping and Shiori lets them know that she was trailed by a clone. But they don't take her seriously, thinking she's just a creep and she should tell Tetsu Tatsumura about it. The following day on July 18th, while cleaning the ocean side, Ushio sees a glimmer and as she turns, she sees her shadow and focuses it to Mio. Shadow Ushio then flees, and Ushio pursues her, but he discovers only her hat, which then vanishes. She says she believes Shiori after thinking back on what she said and going back to the beach to talk to her. Mio believes Shinpei will arrive this year at home, but Ushio says she doesn't care and can stay in Tokyo forever. Mio then makes fun of Ushio, saying she doesn't mean it because she loves him. Ushio then heads to the bathroom, where he discovers Shadow Ushio. Shadow Ushio prevents Ushio from making a phone call to Mio. She says that she is Ushio Kofu and that she went back to her house. But she ran away when she saw Ushio and Mio. The two of them then come to the conclusion that the other is the shadow, but they soon come to the realization that, if shadows are real, Shiori's shadow must be on the island. They think back to Shiori's claim that she first saw her shadow on Mount Takanosu, and they agree to look into it. Despite their best efforts, the two venture into the mountain. After that, Shadow Ushio notices a sign that warns of danger ahead, and they decide to continue. They arrive at the old family clinic in Hishigata, which was said to be haunted, so everyone avoids it. Shadow Ushio has an odd sense that he has previously been there. They perceive a shadow holding a crow after hearing some noise. After that, the shadow flashes and imitates Ushio. Shadow Ushio is pinned to a tree when the third Ushio attacks them. The third Ushio is attacked by Ushio, but her attacks have no effect. She accidentally hits her shadow, injuring the third Ushio, who then kicks Ushio away. The Shadow Ushio of Shadow is then stabbed in the leg by the third Ushio. Shadow Ushio is initially taken aback, but eventually realizes that a shadow's weakness is their flat shadow, which indicates that she is not a human. Shadow Ushio then utilizes her hair to trim third Ushio's arm and free herself. Shadow Ushio follows the third Ushio as she runs, realizing that her projected body is a weapon to protect her real body and that her real body is the shadow. She cuts her shadow to death as she approaches the third Ushio. Shadow Ushio hears Ushio say that she is cool. After that, Shadow Ushio flashes her data and updates it, copying it to her healthy foot and healing her own foot. Shadow Ushio clarifies that she will eventually vanish. But that killing the original will make her the original. She normally would have killed Ushio by now because her instincts tell her to. Ushio understands why it is said that Shiori is in danger and that you will die if you see your shadow. Shinpei realizes that the two Ushio attempted to save Shiori as they finish watching the video. She now remembers everything, including her powers, Shadow Ushio informs him. She then invites them to relive the past using information from her memory and explains what took place on the private beach on July 21st. Shadow Ushio then, at that point, shows them the ocean side on 21st. She takes them to where she and Ushio were and their Shadow Ushio duplicates Ushio in her bathing suit. Ushio inquires as to whether she can turn into her shell accessory and Shadow Ushio transforms into it. After that, Ushio dons the real necklace and puts it in her bag. Shiori asks Mio how to become a great swimmer after Hamaji mocked her for not being able to swim. Mio decides to teach Shiori. Ushio then, at that point, comes and expresses that she will safeguard Shiori. Yet Shiori considers what she implies. Hamaji tells Mio that Akari, a young girl, had peed in her swimsuit, and Mio decides to take Akari and clean her up. While they were turning away, Shiori finished in the water and is suffocating. Shadow Ushio lets Ushio know that she detects a shadow under the water. Mio passes on Akari to Takiko and needs to proceed to assist her with so, yet Ushio stops them and requests that they pass on it to her. Ushio dives into the water and swims to Shirori, who Shadow Shirori is dragging deeper under the surface. Shadow Shirori is slashed by Shadow Ushio as she returns to her Ushio form. She grabs Shirori and makes her way to the surface, but Shadow Shiori's arm is still on her, and shadow arms surround them. Ushio hauls Shadow Shirori out of them. However, Shadow Shirori begins choking her. Shadow Ushio is instructed by Ushio to disregard her and carry on saving Shirori. Shadow Ushio sees Ushio's body falling toward the bottom when Shadow Shirori catches up to them and asks them to stop. Shadow Shirori manages to grab Shadow Ushio after Shadow Ushio slashes her, and Shirori realizes that Shadow Ushio is flawed. She tries to fix her, but when she sees Mio and So approaching, she lets loose Shadow Ushio, who starts to sink, erases Shirori, and then acts unconscious so that Mio and So can save her. Shadow Ushio promises that she will assist Shinpei in eliminating the shadow, despite his apologies for not being able to save Shirori. Shinpei tells So, out of rage, that he already killed Shadow Shirori. So says he wants to kill Shadow Shirori. Shadow Shirori, who is conveyed by Mio then, at that point, snatches Shinpei's arm, expressing she tracked down him. Shinpei is shocked as this was a recording and they couldn't communicate with others. He hears from Shadow Ushio that this is not in her memory. After that, Shadow Shirori transforms into Hina and declares that she has been looking for him for some time and will not let him go. When they get back to the beach, Shadow Ushio stops the replay and notices that Shinpei has a mark on his arm where Hina grabbed him.